It started as an innocent laugh in the corner of a crowded cafe, a fleeting glance that lingered longer than it should. A smile, a whisper, a touch, nothing anyone could see, yet it changed everything. Imagine falling for someone you promised you would never desire, someone sacred in your friend's eyes, someone untouchable. What happens when the heart refuses reason? When every stolen moment becomes a dangerous secret? Heartbeat intensify. Today's story is not just about love, it's about betrayal, temptation, and the terrifying thrill of forbidden passion. Disclaimer: this is dramatic content for awareness and discussion only. Her name was Clara, a 29-year-old schoolteacher living in Lagos, Nigeria. Her best friend, Ada, had been her confidant for over a decade. They shared secrets, laughter, and dreams, but nothing could prepare Clara for the day Michael walked back into their lives. Michael, Ada's husband, charismatic, attentive, and utterly captivating. It was a warm August evening in 2021 when Clara first realized the impossible. Her heart didn't belong entirely to herself anymore. And from that day, nothing would be the same. Clara remembered the first time Michael smiled at her. It was subtle, a fleeting expression, but it lingered in her mind for days. She scolded herself silently. This was her best friend's husband. But each denial only seemed to fuel a fire she couldn't contain. Michael was different from the stories of distant, untouchable men. He was real, approachable, and terrifyingly honest in his charm. One rainy evening, Clara found herself helping Ada organize their new apartment. Michael was there, pouring wine and laughing with Ada, yet sneaking glances her way. Her palms sweated, and she forced herself to smile politely, to laugh at jokes that weren't really funny. But why did the thought of him leaning closer make her pulse quicken? Over time, the encounters grew. Brief conversations that stretched too long, casual touches that lingered, shared laughter that nobody else understood. Clara felt guilty, trapped between loyalty and desire. Every heartbeat was a battle, every glance a dangerous gamble. She confided in no one, even Ada, for fear of shattering a friendship that had been her anchor for years. It was during a quiet Sunday brunch that the moment that changed everything happened. Michael, distracted, reached across the table, brushing Clara's hand. A spark, a silent acknowledgement of feelings neither wanted to admit. Clara froze. What had just happened? Was it mutual, or just her imagination? The room suddenly felt smaller, the air heavier, and her heart louder. Close-up of hands almost touching. Weeks passed, and Clara's world tilted on a knife's edge. Every interaction with Michael left her trembling, torn between desire and morality. She knew this was taboo, yet the pull was undeniable. Could she really resist, or had she already lost control without even noticing? Each day, her secret grew heavier, a burden she carried alone, and each night, her dreams betrayed her, filled with stolen kisses and whispered confessions that would destroy everything if discovered. One evening, after Ada had fallen asleep, Michael called. Clara's heart pounded. His voice was soft, almost vulnerable. "Clara, I can't stop thinking about you." That single sentence shattered all remaining boundaries. What was meant to be a platonic connection had crossed into dangerous territory. Clara knew she had two choices: stop everything before it was too late, or surrender to the storm threatening to consume them both. But could the heart really obey reason when temptation whispered so sweetly? The tension between them became a quiet dance of longing, moments stolen in the shadows, conversations layered with double meanings, smiles that carried forbidden promises. Clara asked herself constantly, was it possible to desire someone this much and still protect the friendship that meant everything? And Michael, did he feel the same pull, or was he just as trapped in a dangerous fantasy? The answers were unclear, and yet the danger made every interaction more intoxicating. As Clara stared at her reflection that night, she couldn't stop wondering, could a heart so loyal really betray the one person she loved the most? Or was her destiny already sealed in the stolen glances, the lingering touches, and the forbidden whispers that refused to leave her? What would she do next when the line between friendship and obsession blurred? If this story has gripped you so far, comment, "I'm hooked." Share this story with anyone who loves a tragic, forbidden romance. Subscribe to Taboo Romance Stories TVC, follow for more heart-stopping tales, and turn on the notification bell. Days turned into weeks, and Clara found herself walking a tightrope of desire and guilt. Every meeting with Michael felt like stepping into a storm she could neither predict nor control. It began innocently, a shared joke over coffee, a lingering look while helping Ada with groceries, but each encounter drew her deeper into the web of temptation. Lagos was alive around them, yet Clara felt as if time had slowed whenever Michael was near. The city's bustling streets, the honking of cars, the chatter of markets, all faded into the background whenever their eyes met. One humid evening, Clara had stayed late at Ada and Michael's apartment, ostensibly to help with some work from her teaching job. Ada had gone out to meet a friend, leaving the two alone. Michael appeared at the doorway, leaning casually, but with an intensity that made Clara's chest tighten. "You've been working too hard," he said softly, his voice carrying a warmth that seemed to wrap around her like a secret cocoon. Clara wanted to respond with reason, to retreat into the safety of propriety, but her voice faltered. She could feel her pulse in her throat, every nerve screaming that she was crossing invisible lines. They talked, long conversations that drifted past innocent topics. They shared dreams, fears, the subtle insecurities that they rarely admitted to anyone. Clara discovered a vulnerability in Michael she hadn't expected, a side of him reserved only for her. Each revelation made her heart ache and burn with forbidden longing. She caught herself imagining what it would feel like to hold him, to kiss him, to give in completely. And then she would scold herself, reminding herself that Ada's happiness, their friendship, and her own integrity were on the line. One night, Michael asked her to walk him to his car. Rain fell gently, the streets slick with reflections of neon lights, and the world seemed to shrink around them. Their hands brushed. Not deliberately, yet deliberately enough. Clara felt a jolt, a mix of fear, excitement, and shame. He looked at her, and for a fleeting moment, the air was thick with unspoken words. "Clara, I don't know how to stop thinking about you," he whispered. The rain masked the tremor in his voice, but Clara felt it, and she realized, with a shudder she could not hide, that she didn't want him to stop thinking about her either. The days after that encounter were unbearable. Every glance from Michael, every casual touch, every accidental brush of fingers became magnified in her mind. Her dreams betrayed her. She imagined stolen moments, whispered promises, passionate encounters that would ruin everything if they ever came to light. She tried to distract herself, burying herself in her work and the familiar routines of life, but nothing could silence the storm inside her. Then, one afternoon, Clara received an unexpected message from Michael. "Meet me for coffee. Alone. I need to talk." Her heart raced uncontrollably. The simple text carried the weight of danger and temptation. She debated, knowing that meeting him alone could change everything, that one wrong choice could shatter her friendship with Ada, and perhaps even her own sense of self. But the pull was irresistible. The next day, under the golden haze of the late afternoon sun, they met at a quiet cafe tucked away from the busy streets. The conversation started cautiously, polite small talk masking the tension thickening between them. But as minutes passed, restraint faltered. Michael's gaze lingered, searching for answers he dared not speak aloud. Clara's mind raced. Every moral boundary she had set for herself began to blur. How much longer could they maintain this dangerous dance without falling completely? How long before a fleeting touch became a confession, before whispered words became undeniable truths? Rising, suspenseful music. Clara left the cafe trembling, her heart pounding as though it might burst from her chest. She knew that Michael felt the same, that the unspoken attraction was mutual, that the fire she had tried to ignore was consuming him too. And yet, the thought of Ada, of betrayal, of losing everything she held dear, made her stomach churn with guilt and fear. Could passion ever justify deceit? Could desire ever outweigh loyalty? Or were they destined to be trapped in a cycle of longing that could destroy them all? That night, as she lay in her bed, staring at the ceiling, Clara's phone buzzed. A single message from Michael appeared. "I can't stop thinking about tonight. Neither should we." The words were simple, but their weight was crushing. It was no longer a game of stolen glances or fleeting touches. The line had been crossed, and Clara knew that the coming days would test the limits of her conscience, her heart, and the very foundation of her friendships. As she stared at the ceiling, questions swirled through her mind. How far would Michael go? How far would she? And what would happen when Ada inevitably discovered the truth? If this story has gripped you so far, comment "I can't wait." Share this story with anyone who lives for forbidden romance. Subscribe to Taboo Romance Stories TVC. Follow for more gripping tales of passion and heartbreak, and turn on the notification bell. The following weeks were a delicate balance between normalcy and chaos. Clara's life had become a series of stolen moments, subtle glances, and conversations laden with unspoken promises. Every interaction with Michael felt like stepping onto thin ice, beautifully thrilling yet terrifyingly dangerous. Even the simplest of encounters, a shared elevator ride, a brush of hands while passing documents, a casual text, sent her heart into a frenzy. Lagos's vibrant energy contrasted sharply with the storm raging inside her. Every corner, every street, every cafe seemed to carry memories of encounters that should never have happened. One rainy evening, after Ada had gone to a church fellowship meeting, Michael invited Clara to stay behind to help with some minor chores. The apartment was quiet, save for the soft patter of rain against the windows and the distant hum of traffic outside. Michael appeared in the doorway, holding 2 mugs of steaming tea. He handed one to her, and their fingers touched briefly. That fleeting contact sent a shockwave through Clara. She knew the rules, she knew the boundaries, but every rational thought seemed to vanish when he was near. "Clara, I can't keep pretending that I don't feel this," he said softly. Her breath caught in her throat. Could he truly feel the same danger, the same temptation, the same forbidden longing? They sat together, the rain masking the intensity of their conversation. Words flowed, confessions disguised as casual remarks, laughter hiding the weight of desire, shared silences charged with unspoken emotions. Clara found herself drawn to him in a way that terrified her. She wanted to pull away, to retreat to the safety of friendship and loyalty, but the pull was magnetic, irresistible. Each passing moment intensified the forbidden bond that was forming between them. Visual highlight: rain streaking down the window, Michael and Clara in the dim light. One night, as the apartment grew quiet and Ada remained out, Michael moved closer. The world seemed to shrink, the space between them charged with an energy neither could deny. "Clara, do you ever think about what could happen if we gave in?" His words were low, almost a whisper, yet they struck deep into her heart. Clara's mind raced. What if? The thought alone was intoxicating, yet terrifying. Every fiber of her being screamed in warning, but another part, one she didn't dare acknowledge, longed for the impossible. Could love, even forbidden love, justify the risk of destroying everything she had ever valued? Days turned into nights, and their stolen moments became bolder. A touch here, a lingering glance there, words that brushed against confessions, all hinting at something far more dangerous than either of them could admit. Clara began to notice how her thoughts revolved around Michael, even in the absence of his presence. The memory of his voice, the warmth of his hand, the intensity of his gaze haunted her, making it nearly impossible to focus on her work, her life, or even her own sense of morality. Then came the night that changed everything. Ada had gone away for a weekend retreat, leaving the apartment entirely to Clara and Michael. The air between them crackled with tension, a dangerous mix of longing, guilt, and undeniable desire. Michael reached out, taking her hand in his. Clara's heart raced, her mind screamed with warnings, yet she felt a surge of forbidden thrill. Their eyes locked, and in that silent moment, everything unspoken was understood. Could one act, one choice, shatter the life they had meticulously maintained? Or was surrender inevitable, a surrender neither of them could resist? Intensifying dramatic music, Clara knew she had to make a choice. Each passing moment in Michael's presence pulled her closer to a precipice she wasn't sure she could step back from. Could passion outweigh loyalty? Could desire eclipse conscience? As she grappled with these questions, a single thought haunted her. Once they crossed the line, there would be no going back. Every stolen moment, every whisper, every secret glance had led to this moment, and the future was uncertain, fraught with danger, heartbreak, and betrayal. The weekend with Ada away promised both temptation and peril. Clara wondered what would happen if she gave in completely, if she allowed herself to be vulnerable to Michael, to taste the forbidden fruit they had been circling for so long. Could they navigate the thin line between love and destruction, or would everything collapse under the weight of secrets and lies? And more importantly, what would happen if Ada ever discovered the truth? The questions lingered, unresolved, as Clara lay awake that night, her heart pounding, her thoughts spiraling into a storm of longing and fear. As the weekend approached, Clara faced a truth she could no longer ignore. Desire had taken root, stronger than loyalty, deeper than friendship. The next few days would determine the fate of 3 lives. How far would she go? Could she resist the temptation? Or would her love for Michael, forbidden and dangerous, consume everything she had ever held dear? If this story has gripped you so far, comment, "I'm hooked." Share this story with anyone who lives for tragic forbidden love. Subscribe to Taboo Romance Stories TVC, follow for more heart-stopping tales, and turn on the notification bell. The weekend arrived with a sense of electric anticipation that Clara couldn't shake. Ada had left Friday morning, leaving the apartment unusually quiet, and the absence of her best friend amplified every heartbeat, every glance, every unspoken tension between Clara and Michael. The city outside continued its relentless pace, but inside, time seemed suspended. Every step they took, every casual brush of fingers, carried a weight neither of them could ignore. The air was thick with possibility, danger, and desire. That evening, Clara found herself sitting on the couch, a book in her hands, though she wasn't reading. Michael entered, carrying 2 glasses of wine, the dim light casting shadows across his face. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of the rain against the window. He handed her a glass, and their fingers met again, longer this time, deliberate yet tentative. The simple contact set Clara's pulse racing. She knew they were playing with fire, yet she couldn't help herself. The temptation was overwhelming. Monday arrived with a suffocating weight. The weekend had left Clara restless, her mind replaying every stolen glance, every brush of hands, every whispered confession. The apartment felt smaller now, the spaces between objects charged with memory and longing. Even mundane chores, washing dishes, folding laundry, arranging books, became reminders of the storm she had stepped into. Michael's presence lingered in her thoughts, haunting her in ways she could neither escape nor fully admit. When Ada returned that evening, Clara's anxiety reached a fever pitch. She welcomed her friend with a warm smile, a facade of normalcy that barely concealed the turmoil within. Ada laughed, recounting her weekend, oblivious to the electric tension that had been building in her absence. Clara listened, nodding and smiling, yet each word, each casual remark, made her heart ache with guilt. How could she sit here, pretending everything was fine, when the truth simmered beneath the surface, threatening to spill over at any moment? Michael, too, played the careful game. He greeted Ada with warmth, courtesy, and charm, as if the weekend had been nothing more than ordinary interactions between friends. But Clara could see the restraint in his eyes, the subtle tension in his posture. They moved through the evening with meticulous caution, yet every word, every glance, carried a secret weight. The thrill of forbidden love was tempered by fear, yet the pull between them remained undeniable. That night, after Ada had gone to bed, Clara and Michael found themselves alone again. The apartment, dimly lit, seemed suspended in time, a private world where nothing else existed. They talked quietly, voices barely above a whisper, about life, love, regrets, and dreams. The conversation flowed naturally, yet beneath it lay a current of desire that neither could suppress. Clara's heart raced every time Michael's hand brushed hers, and she found herself lingering in moments she knew were dangerous, yet intoxicating. The tension finally broke when Michael leaned closer, his voice soft but insistent. "Clara, I can't pretend anymore. I can't fight this." Her pulse thundered in her ears. She knew what he meant, and she knew that giving in, even for a moment, would change everything. Yet the temptation was irresistible, the longing she had tried to deny now overwhelming. They stood there, eyes locked, hearts racing, both aware that every second spent together was a step further into a world of forbidden desire. Days passed in a blur of careful deception. Clara tried to immerse herself in work, to find solace in her routines, but nothing could erase the memory of Michael's touch, the sound of his voice, the intensity of his gaze. She avoided mirrors, fearing that the reflection would betray the longing in her eyes. Every text, Every message, every accidental encounter with him was a test of her restraint, yet she found herself failing more often than not. The line between friendship and forbidden love had blurred beyond recognition, leaving only a dangerous gray area where passion and guilt intertwined. Then came the fateful evening that would mark a turning point. Ada had arranged a dinner with close friends, a casual gathering meant to celebrate life and laughter. Clara arrived, nerves taut, aware that Michael would be there. Every interaction, every laugh, every shared joke felt loaded with subtext. Their eyes met across the room, and for a fleeting second, the world around them disappeared. It was a moment of unspoken acknowledgement, a dangerous reminder that their desires were no longer secret, even if no words had been exchanged. Later, as the guests departed, Clara found herself alone with Michael in the kitchen, cleaning up the remnants of the evening. The apartment was quiet, shadows stretching across the walls, and the air was thick with unspoken temptation. He reached for her hand, this time deliberately, and their fingers intertwined. It was brief, yet the intensity of the moment left them both breathless. Clara's mind screamed with warnings, yet her heart betrayed her. Could passion truly be tamed when it had already consumed the soul? Could desire be resisted when it had become an addiction neither of them could escape? As she closed the apartment door behind her that night, Clara's mind raced with questions she didn't dare answer aloud. How far would they go before crossing the line irreversibly? Could she resist, or had her fate been sealed the moment she allowed herself to notice him? And when the inevitable discovery came, who would bear the weight of betrayal, guilt, and heartbreak? If this story has gripped you so far, comment "I'm invested." Share this story with anyone who loves tragic, forbidden love. Subscribe to Taboo Romance Stories TVC. Follow for more intense, heart-stopping stories, and turn on the notification bell. Clara's life had become a constant balancing act between desire and duty, and every day felt like walking a razor's edge. The more she tried to maintain normalcy, the more the forbidden tension with Michael gnawed at her. Even the smallest gestures, an accidental touch on the arm, a lingering glance while speaking, sent her heart into overdrive. Each moment reminded her that boundaries existed only as illusions, fragile and easily shattered. One evening, after a long day at school, Clara found herself back at Ada and Michael's apartment under the pretense of returning a book. Michael greeted her with that same magnetic warmth, the kind that had ensnared her heart from the very beginning. The apartment was dimly lit, shadows dancing along the walls as though mirroring the forbidden dance between them. "You're tired," he said softly, offering her a seat. Clara nodded, feeling her chest tighten as he moved closer, their proximity charged with unspoken longing. As they talked, the conversation naturally shifted to deeper topics: hopes, regrets, secrets never shared. Clara noticed the vulnerability in Michael's eyes, a rare openness that pulled at her heart. She knew this was dangerous. She knew that any moment could tip them into a reality from which there was no return. And yet each word, each pause, each quiet laugh drew them closer, their hearts bound by invisible threads of desire and guilt. That night, unable to sleep, Clara replayed the weekend's moments in her mind. Every smile, every brush of hands, every whispered word haunted her dreams. She realized that the attraction between her and Michael had escalated beyond fleeting temptation. It had become a living, breathing force neither of them could deny. She questioned herself constantly. Could loyalty ever outweigh desire? Could love, forbidden and dangerous, justify the risk of heartbreak and betrayal? The tension finally escalated one evening when Michael called her unexpectedly. His voice was low, intimate, and trembled with emotion. "Clara, I can't stop thinking about us, about what we might become." Her breath caught. She knew the implications of his words. They were a confession and a temptation rolled into one. Clara felt her mind and heart collide in a storm of fear, guilt, and longing. Could she deny the pull any longer? Or had she already surrendered to the dangerous allure of forbidden love? The following days were filled with subtle encounters that made it impossible to think clearly. They would meet under the guise of casual conversation, only to linger in moments that felt like stolen eternity. Their hands would brush, and their eyes would meet in silent acknowledgement of desires too dangerous to articulate. Clara realized she was living in a constant state of high alert, her mind obsessed with the question of how long they could continue before the inevitable collapse. Then came the night that would change everything. Ada had arranged a girls' night out, leaving Clara alone with Michael in the apartment once again. The apartment felt suffocating, every glance, every gesture magnified by anticipation. Michael moved closer, voice low, breath warm against her ear. "Clara, we can't fight this anymore." Every rational thought screamed for her to pull away, to protect Ada, to protect herself. Yet her heart betrayed her, pounding with need and longing. The forbidden attraction had become irresistible, consuming every ounce of her self-control. In the quiet, Clara and Michael shared a fleeting moment, an almost kiss, a brush of lips, a heartbeat suspended in time. It was brief, yet the intensity left them both trembling. She knew this act, small as it seemed, had crossed a threshold. There was no turning back. Each stolen touch, each whispered word, had built a chain too strong to break. The reality was terrifying. Their secret was alive, a living thing that could destroy lives if exposed. As Clara lay awake that night, her thoughts spiraled. Could she ever find peace, knowing the truth between them? Could Michael resist as much as she tried to? And most importantly, what would happen when Ada inevitably discovered the growing bond, the passion, and the betrayal simmering beneath the surface? Every question remained unanswered, hanging like a storm cloud over her life. If this story has gripped you so far, comment "I'm hooked." Share this story with anyone who loves forbidden love tales. Subscribe to Taboo Romance Stories TVC. Follow for more heart-stopping forbidden romance stories and turn on the notification bell. They talked about trivial things at first, work, books, the weather, but soon the conversation shifted. Slowly, carefully, they began to speak about the moments they had shared over the past weeks, about feelings they had tried to bury. Each word, each laugh, each hesitant glance brought them closer to a truth they were both terrified to confront. Michael's eyes searched hers, looking for permission, reassurance, and perhaps a confession. Clara felt trapped between morality and desire, yet she also recognized a part of herself that longed for surrender. The tension built like a crescendo. They were sitting closer now, the space between them charged, their hands occasionally brushing, their breaths synchronizing. Clara felt the fire growing inside her, a dangerous heat she had no intention of controlling. She wanted to look away, to protect Ada, to preserve the friendship that had defined her life, but the pull was magnetic. Each stolen touch was a step deeper into forbidden territory, and neither could stop themselves. Later that night, as the rain intensified, Clara and Michael found themselves standing close, the sound of the storm outside mirroring the turmoil within. He reached out, and before she could think, their hands intertwined. The contact was electric, a spark that set her entire body alight. Clara's mind screamed in protest, but her heart was betraying her. Every moral boundary, every loyalty seemed to dissolve in the intensity of the moment. The thrill of the forbidden was intoxicating, terrifying, and impossible to resist. Hours passed in quiet, charged proximity, their conversations drifting from casual to intimate, confessions slipping out like whispered prayers. They shared fears, insecurities, and thoughts they had never admitted to anyone. The lines between friendship, desire, and betrayal blurred, and Clara realized that every moment with Michael had brought them closer to an inevitable crossing of the line. She couldn't remember when her longing had turned from a fleeting temptation into a consuming obsession, but she knew it had. The weekend continued in a haze of stolen glances and delicate touches. Even the simplest acts, handing a glass of water, laughing at an inside joke, brushing past each other in the kitchen, felt weighted with meaning. Clara felt herself slipping further into a world she had never imagined she could inhabit, a world where desire ruled and morality trembled. And yet, every fiber of her being warned her of the consequences, of the devastation that awaited if their secret ever came to light. On the final night of the weekend, after Ada had called to say she'd be home early the next morning, Clara and Michael found themselves alone on the balcony, looking out over the city lights. The world below seemed distant, irrelevant. Michael turned to her, eyes filled with longing and uncertainty. "Clara, we can't keep living like this," he whispered, his voice breaking slightly. Clara's heart ached. She knew he was right, yet the thought of letting go was unbearable. Every moment of desire, every heartbeat, every stolen glance had cemented their bond in a way neither could deny. As the night deepened, Clara faced a truth she could no longer escape. Passion and morality were on a collision course, and someone was bound to be hurt. How much longer could they resist the inevitable? How far would they go before the line was irreversibly crossed? And most importantly, when Ada returned, what would be left of their lives, their friendships, and their hearts? If this story has gripped you so far, comment "I'm on edge." Share this story with anyone who loves forbidden romance. Subscribe to Taboo Romance Stories TVC. Follow for more heart-stopping tales of love, betrayal, and temptation, and turn on the notification bell. The days that followed were a delicate, dangerous dance. Clara and Michael moved through life as though nothing had changed, yet everything had shifted. Every glance carried meaning, every accidental touch left hearts racing, and every conversation was layered with temptation. The apartment they shared with Ada became a stage for their secret, every room charged with the energy of forbidden desire. Clara felt trapped, exhilarated, and terrified all at once. How could something so intoxicating feel so wrong, and yet feel so right? One evening, Michael invited Clara to sit with him on the balcony, the city lights below flickering like 1,000 tiny confessions. The world outside seemed distant, irrelevant. For hours, they spoke of dreams, regrets, and hidden fears, conversations that would have seemed innocent to anyone else, but carried a weight only they understood. Clara's resolve weakened with each word, each laugh, each pause that allowed Michael's hand to brush hers. She felt the lines between loyalty and desire blur, knowing that one wrong move could shatter everything she held dear. The tension became unbearable. Every encounter, even in the presence of Ada, was a test of restraint. Clara found herself caught in a storm of emotion she could neither control nor escape. Michael's presence ignited a longing that felt impossible to deny. She questioned herself constantly. Could passion justify betrayal? Could desire outweigh years of friendship? And how long could they continue this dangerous game before the consequences became irreversible? Then came the night of the unexpected confession. Clara had stayed late to help with some work at the apartment. Michael appeared, holding a glass of wine, his eyes searching hers. "Clara, I can't pretend anymore," he said, voice trembling with emotion. Her breath caught in her throat. She knew he was speaking the truth, and deep down she felt the same. Every heartbeat, every stolen thought, every longing glance had led them to this point. The pull between them was undeniable, consuming, and impossible to resist. They spent hours talking, words flowing like a river of desire and guilt. Every pause, every laugh, every shared silence brought them closer to a decision neither was prepared to make. Clara realized that the forbidden bond between them had grown beyond control. It was no longer just attraction. It was a force that had taken over their hearts, minds, and lives. She knew that soon they would have to confront the truth of what they had become. The following days were a mix of longing, fear, and secret encounters. Every moment in Michael's presence became a test of endurance. The forbidden nature of their connection heightened the intensity, making every glance, every touch, every whispered word feel electric. Clara found herself torn between the love she felt for Michael and the loyalty she owed to Ada. The moral line she had tried to uphold seemed to vanish with each passing moment. One night, as the apartment grew silent, Michael reached for Clara's hand, and their eyes met in a silent acknowledgement of the storm that had taken over their hearts. "Clara, we can't go back now," he whispered. Her heart pounded. She knew he was right. The moment of reckoning had arrived. The passion, the desire, the forbidden love, they were all undeniable, and neither could pretend otherwise. The question now loomed larger than ever. How far would they go? Could they survive the consequences of their actions, or was destruction inevitable? As Clara lay awake that night, her mind raced with possibilities and dangers. The bond between them had grown too strong to ignore. How could she face Ada if the truth ever came out? Could Michael resist the pull as much as she tried? And more importantly, what would happen when the fragile balance they had maintained inevitably collapsed? The answers remained unknown, hanging like a storm cloud, ready to break. If this story has gripped you so far, comment "I can't wait," Share this story with anyone who loves forbidden romance. Subscribe to Taboo Romance Stories TVC. Follow for more heart-stopping tales of passion and betrayal, and turn on the notification bell. The tension had reached its breaking point. Clara could no longer ignore the magnetic pull between herself and Michael, nor could she pretend that their stolen moments were harmless. Every interaction carried the weight of desire, every glance a silent confession. The apartment, once a place of shared laughter and comfort, now felt like a stage where forbidden passion played out in secrecy. Clara's heart was torn, her mind a battlefield of loyalty and longing. She knew that the moment of reckoning had arrived. It happened on a quiet Thursday evening. Ada had gone out to meet friends, leaving the apartment empty. Clara and Michael found themselves alone once more, the air thick with anticipation. Their conversation began casually, but it didn't take long before the distance between them evaporated. Hands brushed, breaths mingled, and for a fleeting, dangerous moment, the world outside ceased to exist. Clara felt a surge of exhilaration mixed with terror. Every instinct screamed to stop, yet every heartbeat urged her forward. "I can't fight this anymore," Michael admitted, his voice trembling. "I can't stop thinking about you, Clara. I can't pretend that what we feel isn't real." Her chest tightened. She had known this day would come, had feared it, yet hoped it wouldn't. The forbidden nature of their love, the depth of their emotions, and the risk of betrayal all collided into a single, overwhelming truth. They were in too deep. The next hours passed like a blur. Words turned to whispers, whispers to confessions, and confessions to moments of intense, unspoken passion. Clara realized that what they shared was no longer just desire. It was love, dangerous and consuming, impossible to resist. And yet, in the back of her mind, the specter of Ada's trust and friendship loomed. How could they navigate this truth without destroying the very foundation of everything they cherished? Days turned into weeks, and the reality of their actions began to weigh heavily. Every secret meeting, every stolen kiss, every lingering touch became a test of endurance. Clara wrestled with guilt and longing, joy and despair. Michael's presence was intoxicating, but the thought of Ada, of betrayal, of the inevitable heartbreak, made her question whether passion could ever justify deception. Could desire ever outweigh loyalty? Could love, even forbidden, survive the consequences of their choices? Eventually, the inevitable confrontation loomed. Clara knew that secrets this heavy could not remain hidden forever. Each day brought a mix of anticipation and dread, the fear of discovery mingling with the thrill of the forbidden. What would happen when Ada learned the truth? Could she forgive them, or would their friendship and lives be shattered irreparably? The answers were uncertain, but the consequences were unavoidable. As the story reaches its climax, Clara and Michael are faced with the ultimate choice: surrender to their passion fully, risking everything, or step back and preserve what remains of their lives and friendships. The question lingers, unresolved, hanging in the air like a storm cloud. How far would they go for love? And how much would they lose in the process? If this story has touched you, comment "I feel it." Share this story with anyone who loves forbidden romance. Subscribe to Taboo Romance Stories TVC, follow for more gripping, emotional, and heart-stopping tales, and turn on the notification bell. This is Taboo Romance Stories TVC, forbidden romance stories, told like never before. Stay with us for more gripping tales of passion, desire, and heartbreak that defy the rules of love and life.